For those of you who have not met me before, good morning and welcome. My name is Samantha Coates and I'm the creator of Blitz Books, which is a music education series. I have written theory books, sight reading books, and a few other bits and pieces, but my biggest passion project is my Rote Repertoire series, and that's one of the things that we're showcasing today because I've written a whole bunch of new chromatic pieces. When I was coming up with a name for this webinar, I did go to ChatGPT to get an opinion, and I just thought I'd read you some of the options that it came back with. It said chromatic without panic, or accidentals without anxiety. We could have called this webinar Black Keys, No Tears. I thought that one was very weird. And my favorite was accidentals are not an emergency. All of which are true, but I ended up just calling it Teaching Chromatic Reading with Rote Repertoire because the point of it is to try and make sure that chromatic reading is not scary. Chromatic scales are often skipped in the early stages for beginners, which is a shame because it's so easy. Sometimes if we ask students to play all the notes from C up to the next C, we will get this. And then I will often say, I think you missed some. I think you missed some notes. And then if we explain they've got to play all the white and the black, they can do this with a single finger. And lo and behold, they've played a chromatic scale. And chromatic scales with single finger is so good. It's fantastic for beginners. We don't have to go into chromatic scale fingering, which of course, as you know, is 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. Going up is usually pretty easy for students. It's coming down that's tricky because of having to put 2 and then 1 on the way down. The way I often teach it is to just do the 1 3s up and down here or here, or to get them to play the white notes at the same time. So to do this, and then here come 2 whites, so we'll do it like this. And here come 2 whites. And then coming down, we want to do the same thing, and we want to teach students that we're not going to overlap our fingers like this. It's not okay to swap our fingers around and have 2 overlapping 1. So chromatic fingering can be complicated to teach, but that's really not the point in a lot of the Rote Repertoire pieces that I have written. We can do it with a single finger. Which brings me to the freebie that you got for signing up. So I'm just going to share my screen now. We are going to be talking about our new bundle that I've written called the Chromatic Capers Bundle. And my cousin Jen did this design, which I'm really, really happy with. It's so cute. Just showing, it's got the whole stepping theme going to it, and has got sharps and flats and naturals going up the steps. Very cute. Now, inside this Chromatic Capers Bundle, we have 6 chromatic pieces, and they range from 2 hats to 4 hats. And actually there's that false start, the purple piece there, false starts, that's actually supposed to only have 3 hats, and the blue piece revving down is supposed to have 4 hats. So there are no 1 hat pieces in this bundle, and for those of you who aren't familiar with my series, 1 hat is the simplest of the pieces. They're for 0 to 6 months of learning, and up to 4 hats, which is for 2 years plus of learning. All of the pieces are designed for beginners. In this bundle is not the piece that you got today, that you got for signing up. So the free piece that you got was my arrangement of Entry March of the Gladiators by Julius Fuchik. And if you somehow missed that, then Beth is going to put a link to that in the chat for you so that you can get it. But the idea of this piece is that you can do single finger chromatic scales, and it sounds really good going with the melody of Entry March of the Gladiators, and I arranged that secondo part as well. So we're going to show you a video now of how this sounds. This is my student Flo. She is about 7 or 8 years old when we did this, and I just wanted to tell you that when I taught this duet to Flo, I taught it to her completely by rote. She wasn't reading those accidentals on the page because they are scary to look at. I just told her to do a C chromatic scale going up and then a D chromatic coming down, C going up, B coming down. It was like a set of instructions of how to do the chromatic scale, and you will see that she's using a single finger while she's using it. Here it comes.
This is the entry of the Gladiators duet.
Okay, now, I'm pretty sure that what I said was you will see that she's using a single finger, and she wasn't. I do apologize. I got her confused with another student, with a lot of other students that I do who use this single finger. She actually did use chromatic scale fingering for that, but you totally can teach this with students just using a single finger. That duet looks really scary on the page. All chromatic notation looks scary because it's full of accidentals. And if we have a look at a scale like this, where there's not that many accidentals, obviously it's just sharps, not different accidentals. What I like to say to my students is that if you can see that the notes are going up fairly gradually and that there are a lot of accidentals, it's usually a pretty good guess that it's chromatic. And when we're sight reading, we often have to guess. We don't have a choice. And it usually will be correct if you have a guess that it's a chromatic scale. If it's not, we're going to have to stop and decode it, and it might be a tricky little passage. But overall, it's a pretty good educated guess that if the notes are going up gradually and lots of accidentals, that is a chromatic scale. So we have these 6 pieces that I'm about to show you in the Chromatic Keepers bundle, but there's also a bonus of a 7th piece in this bundle, and I'm going to talk to you about that bonus later on in the webinar. So we're going to start with a piece called Chromatic Crawler, and this is where I would love to get Karen, are you ready to be a volunteer for Chromatic Crawler? This is the first piece in the bundle. It's a 2-hat piece, so it can be taught for students that are 6 months or older. Oh, Karen, you're a gem. What a view. You've got it all set up. You've got your sound going.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
I see you have a grade 1 theory book on your
oh, yes, I do
as well. That is free advertising for me. That was not planned, so thank you very much.
But they are fantastic.
All right, so I'm going to teach you the first little bit of this piece, Chromatic Crawler by Rote. So, Karen, can you please get ready with your left hand with a 5th on E flat and B flat? Great, and your right hand, we're going to use these 2 black notes. The bottom and the top of the 3 black notes. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay, so can you do this 4 times? 4 times. We're going to do right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Wonderful. Now what we're going to do is get the right hand to crawl around. So we're going to go from here, crawl down to the whites, then go back to the blacks, then crawl up to the whites. So it's going to go like this: black, down to white, black, up to white. Can you do that? Fabulous. Can you do it again? Fabulous. Now can you do it doubling the right hand like this? Fantastic. And now here's the last bit. We're going to go just the right hand. We're going to go black, black, then down, white, white. Can you do that much? Excellent. And then the last bit is going to be black, white, black. But the very last white, black, we're going to join in with left hand. So it's going to be like this. Black, white, black. Excellent. So here's the last bit. Whites, blacks. Thank you, Karen. That was awesome. Now, obviously, Karen has learnt that very, very, very quickly by rote. And I find that it will take some time in the lesson to learn, but it actually will take a lot less time if you've sent a recording in advance that your student can listen to so that they're familiar with the sound. But let's imagine that we've practiced that a few more times. And now, Karen, you're fine to play all of that through. But what I'm going to do is imagine that you've played it a few times. Now I'm going to show you what the music looks like. Mm-hmm. So this is what you just played. So now, Karen, can you play it again? And this time, you're looking at the music a little bit. Wonderful. So that's what we get when we teach it first by rote. Then it's not a drama to play it again looking at the music. And there's no need to explain all of these accidentals on the page. They're just there. We don't want to drill into the theoretical understanding. We've already played this piece by rote, and now we're looking at the music. And in fact, we're assuming that we can't even read music all that well because we've only been learning piano for maybe 6 to 12 months. But Karen, how did that feel to you in terms of the ergonomics of it? Did it feel comfortable?
It was very comfortable.
Okay, fabulous. Now I'm going to show you levels 1 and 2 side by side. And can you tell me what differences you see in level 2?
All right, so on the second line, you're separating the notes in the right hand.
That's exactly right. So how do you think that will sound? Yeah, exactly. Now, your student may not come back with that straight away, and it's fine to demonstrate by rote what the change on the music looks like. So the point is we see a difference, and then we're going to hear what that difference sounds like. So now, Karen, can you play us Chromatic Crawler Level 2?
Sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, now this could be maybe the same lesson or it might be a whole week later. So for younger students, we sometimes spend 3 weeks going through 3 levels. For slightly older students or very capable students, we might spend 3 minutes going through 3 levels. So now, what do you see the difference is between levels 2 and 3?
So the left hand's changing in the
third very bar, well spotted.
Third bar and fourth bar.
Yes, so what's happening? What's it doing really?
It's copying what the right hand's doing.
That's it. Yes.
And then it does the same in the second line.
Yeah, so why don't you just play us all the second line now? That's it. Exactly. So it's a pretty easy piece. And in fact, students often won't be as good as Karen in picking up what the change is in level 3. It's pretty subtle because the rhythm is exactly the same. It can take a little bit of time to spot the fact that the left hand is now crawling around the same as the right hand. So then they've done level 3 and that is the whole piece. And then I like to say to students, Well, how would you feel about making up your own level 4? And usually,
Yay.
okay, Karen, why don't you give us a go? So imagine of course, you've spent a couple of weeks on this piece, and you've played 3 different variations of it, and so now you can make up your own. Off you go. Karen, that was outstanding. What a fantastic level 4. I love it. I love it how you decided to change the left hand, and at one stage you went opposite directions. I love that. It was fantastic. Thank you. So creative. That's wonderful. Karen, can I keep you for to demonstrate the next piece as well?
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to show you the music for the next piece. Because it is pretty tricky when we're looking at it. If we were to put this music in front of a student straight away, it just doesn't look like it's very comfortable. This is a 3-hat piece, so even if you're in your second year of learning, it's a little bit daunting seeing all of those accidentals. But this is where we might say, okay, well, it's all based on a chromatic scale. And I would teach this piece actually without even showing the music at all first. But I like to teach this one. It's a 3-hat piece because it works well with chromatic scale fingering. So the main motive that we've got here, and I would certainly play this. I would play this for you first, Karen, or I will have sent you a video of it. I've sent you the audio file, you've heard it. But this first motive is... So assuming we've got chromatic scale fingering going, I like to say buzz, 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 goes the silly bee. So we're going to do chromatic down a little bit and then back, and then right hand goes up. So Karen, do you want to try that much? Excellent. Now do it again super quietly. Beautiful. And then this next bit, we're going to do a little bit more of the chromatic scale. We're going to start from our B flat. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom black note. And then come back up and then go. And just stop when you get to that F there. Can you do all of that? Thank you, Karen. I don't know if everyone else heard that, but what Zoom did to you was put in a great big pause and then a huge accelerando. Anyway, that's fine. And then what we have is the actual...
Oh, really?
B. Yeah, it did. We have a silly B on the end. So we're going to jump out and we want to have this B flat up here and this B flat. I don't know even if you can even see it, but we're just going to have a very silly semitone in both hands and really, really soft and short. Can you try that? Beautiful. Okay, so we've taught all of level 1 by rote, and the student can play it. And they can play it without the music, they can play it without looking at the music, but then we show them the music and show them the elements on the page. It's also possible to teach this one by semi-rote. You can teach any of the pieces by semi-rote, but the main thing is to get the playing sounding fantastic and fluent first. We don't want to get bogged down in reading first. So because of the tempo and because of the chromatic fingering, this piece is a 3-hat piece, but you could also make it a 1-hat piece by just doing it all single fingers like this. So it will be slower and you can use single fingers and that would work really well. But for now, Karen, we're going to get you to just play it faster with your chromatic fingering. So imagine you're very familiar with level 1. Mm-hmm. And now you see a difference in level 2.
So at the end of the first line, your chromatic is a bit longer, goes up to the F.
Yes, it does. And what else do you see in that bar that's different? There's more chromatic notes.
Oh, there's a crescendo.
Yes, there's a crescendo. Now, obviously, your student is not going to say those words. Your student who's only in their second year of learning is going to say, they might say crescendo, or they might say, oh, there's lines getting further apart. And this is a good time to get them to play how that bar sounds differently and get them to do the crescendo. And then what else is different? Anything else?
The very last notes, the right hand is up the octave.
Yes. So now we have that silly B, and it's called silly B because it's based on B flat and it's got a silly B flat ending. That silly B at the end is much further away, so we might want to practice jumping to that. But now, why don't you play us all of level 2?
Oh, I was better do the right fingering.
Exactly.
Something
So
like that.
it's already sounding a bit silly. That's great. And now, what do you see is the difference between levels 2 and 3?
It's longer.
Yeah, first thing is it's longer. Now, it's one of the most beautiful and annoying features of Sibelius is that you cannot cut a line short. All the lines of music have to stretch to the same margins as every other line on the page. And so what happens is these last 2 bars look stretched out, which means they look like the music is slowing down, but it's not. So that's an important thing to point out to students, that these last 2 bars will actually be the same tempo. And do you see any differences in the first line, Karen?
No.
Correct. There's no difference in the first line. Do you see any difference in the second line?
Yes. The third bar is repeated up an octave.
Yes, exactly. So now, that's right. And then what do you think is going to happen in the last line?
Does
Yes,
the same.
and it's going to be a big D crescendo as well. So we just basically get that motive 3 times. And this is a perfect example of how music can look so complex, but it is so simple to play. And you would never find a piece like this in the early stages of a method book because it looks so complex. But why not? It's so easy to play. You could easily do this with one finger. You could still do the dynamics. It would still come out sounding cute and silly. And just because the notation looks complex, it's such a shame not to ever experience this piece. So Karen, will you play us all of level 3 now?
Sure. I forgot the D crescendo, sorry.
Oh, dearie me. We forgive you. So how did that feel technique-wise and comfort-wise for you?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. And could you imagine your students being able to play that?
Yes.
Okay. That is excellent. Thank you so much, Karen. I'm throwing you chocolate. Thank you. You're a gem. I thought I would say that if this is the first time you've come across Rote Repertoire and you would like to know more about exactly how it is constructed, I gave a webinar earlier this year called An Introduction to Rote Repertoire. It's on my website, and I think it's a great one to go back and look at if you just want to drill down more into exactly the process of how it's taught. But basically it's teach level 1 by rote, then spot the difference between levels 1 and 2, and then play that, and then spot the difference between levels 2 and 3 and play that. And by this process, score reading becomes a lot less scary. The next piece is Stepping Stones, and this is an example of a piece that is kind of diatonic in nature, even though it's set up chromatically. So I'm showing you the music here as like a bit of a spoiler, but I'll just play you level 1. This is a C major piece with chromatic movement, and we pretty much have 4 different positions. So a C major chord split between the hands at the beginning of line 1, and then left hand just steps down chromatically. The next position at the beginning of line 2 is a third on D. So the right hand moves down, the left hand moves up to D. And the third position that we have at the beginning of line 3 is when the right hand moves down again and the left hand moves to A. So it's these 3 positions, and once we get those right, the rest of it is very, very easy to play, and it's easy for students to pick up how to do it. So that's level 1. And then you can see that in level 2, what's happening is that we have the third bar in each line being broken up. So we have, and then we have the third being broken, and then a stepping stone, a passing note. So it's called stepping stones for 2 reasons. The left hand is stepping down chromatically, and the right hand starts to have these passing notes in it. And then in level 3, then you can see that now all of the bars are broken up like that. So now I'm going to play you all of level 3, just so you can hear like the final version of the piece. So that's very, very, it's easy and straightforward to teach. And it's in a C major position, but with chromatic movement. Any questions about that one? It's classified as a 3-hat piece because of the tempo and because of the legato that is ideally expected, but it can be really taught to any student, as long as they feel okay jumping around those 3 positions. I actually use this series with all of my students, including all my advanced students, because they love doing it as a very quick sight reading exercise. They love it that I'm going to quickly set them up by rote and show them the positions of the piece, and then we kind of sight read level 1, and then they like spotting the differences with level 2 and 3. It has really, really improved the sight reading of my more reluctant readers. And that is the feedback that I get from a lot of teachers, especially for students with ADHD or dyslexia, because it takes so much of the stress out of score reading. Okay, so on to the next one. This is a 3-hat piece called False Starts. And the reason I call this one False Starts is because the pauses make it sound like the piece keeps restarting. And the position is B minor. The right hand pretty much only plays 2 notes, F sharp and D, with going over to a C sharp at the end. And the left hand is pure chromatic movement. That one's really, really easy to teach by rote, because once you've taught that first little segment, it just repeats, and then the left hand just gets going. And the other thing that's very easy about this is that there are no pairs of white notes in the left hand at all. So that part of the chromatic scale, only using 1 and 3, is nice and easy to teach. And then, of course, once we've learned level 1, we just spot the difference between levels 1 and 2. Okay, well, we have the piece being twice as long. Students will say, oh, it's longer. And yes, the piece is twice as long. But what we can encourage students to look at is that actually the second half looks very, very, very similar. And there's really only one change, and that is that the left-hand notes are suddenly lower. And it's also a really good idea to teach when you're trying to teach sight reading, that when you see notes suddenly jump a long way down but the patterns look the same, or a long way up and the patterns look the same, it's a really, really good guess that that jump has been an octave jump. So all that's happening in the second half of the piece is that the left hand is now an octave lower, and the overall dynamic is now higher. It goes to MF. So now I will just skip through and get you to have a look at the difference between levels 2 and 3. And this can be a little bit harder to spot because there's so much going on the page, but you'll probably see that it actually is a pretty stark change, and that is in bar 2 and 4. So we have now, instead of the pause on the F sharp being in the right hand, the left hand's going over. We're going over the top, and then we come back and do it again. And then of course it's the same change in bars 10 and 12. And then the other final change is the very end, when the left hand jumps down an octave. So I'm just going to play the second half of the piece now. So that piece ends up sounding like a fairly sophisticated and long piece that students could do in a recital. But it's so easy to learn. All right, so on to the next piece, which is called Revving Down. Now, just before I show you this one, there's another piece in the series that I have called Revving Up. And it's probably one of my favorites. It's been in the series for a long time, and it goes like this. So it's got the left hand doing a motive down here, which is sort of a little bit chromatic. So we've got 1, 4, 3, 2, and this piece goes like this. So that's Revving Up. That I think that's in the 4-hat bundle. Now this piece, Revving Down, is in the Chromatic Capers bundle, and it has the motive going the other way. So instead of having 1, 4, 3, 2, it's doing 4, 1, 2, 3. It's in B minor, and it's got this motive going the other way. And then it has thumb going under. So if you're near a piano and you feel like it, have a go of this. It's 4, 1, 2, 3. So your hand will feel maybe a tiny bit contracted, but it's still comfy. We do this twice, and then thumb under, and go all the way down, and then long, short. So once you've taught that by rote to your students, the rest of it is quite easy. And now I'm going to show you what this music looks like. Okay, here is Revving Down. So we have that left hand that I just talked about. It's the opposite of revving up, but this is a very different sounding piece in B minor. So I'll play you all of level 1. Because the right hand just plays B's and F sharps, it stays in this very static position. It's very, very easy to play. And it feels comfortable under the hand as well. Here's the difference between levels 1 and 2. Now the right hand has got sixths in it. And that's pretty much it. The left hand remains exactly the same. So we just have a sixth under the B. And actually there is that one change in bars 2 and 6 where the right hand goes down to the D instead. This hand position was already set up though in level 1, so it feels comfortable to do. This is level 2. So that's the difference. Now I also would like to tell you that these PDFs I've got here where it's level 1 and then I'm scrolling and then showing levels 1 and 2 side by side, then now play level 2, then levels 2 and 3 side by side. I formatted these especially for online teaching. If you do any online teaching, it is so great to be able to put the music up like this, because what I would do, I'll just stop sharing for a moment. I normally wouldn't show the music online. I would normally simply have the music in front of students so they've learned level 1 by Rote, and then we'll play it. And then the next week, let's say, I will have levels 1 and 2 printed out and put them side by side up here on the piano and get them to tell me what differences they see with the music up there. And then the same process again for going from levels 2 to 3. But this of course doesn't work when you're doing online teaching. And the beauty of being able to put that PDF up like that in an online lesson is that you can let your students annotate the differences. Let them circle on the screen what's going on. It's really a fun way to do it. So that formatted PDF with it's called All Levels, is part of the digital pack that you buy when you buy a piece. So you get studio licensed PDFs. You can print these out a million billion times and that's all included, but you also get that online screen sharing version. So going back now to revving down. Now the difference between level 2 and 3 is that when we look at the fact that it's twice as long. And then what happens is that the hands are both displaced by an octave. And students get pretty used to seeing this after a while, after doing a few different pieces like this. But this is the essence of good sight reading, being able to scan and predict the patterns of music. So I'll just play you the second 2 lines. So in those second 2 lines, not only are the hands displaced by an octave, but we do get some repeated notes. And then the very last note goes down to the low B instead of staying up. So that piece is fairly complicated if we're looking at it on the page. But students get pretty proud of the fact that they played all that. And it does feel comfortable under the hands. By the time they've learned level 1 by rote and then they're going through the process, all the hard work is really done in level 1 because we've learned that fingering pattern in the left hand. It's not hard to coordinate that and put it together.
We have questions. So exciting. Okay, we have 2. The first one was from Rochelle, and she wanted to know, do you sometimes just say the title of the piece and then ask the student what the music might sound like?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing to do. I've never actually said, oh, I'm about to play you a piece called silly B, what do you think it's going to sound like? But that would be so fun to say, that's a really good idea. Was that Rochelle, did you say?
That was Rochelle, yes.
Rochelle, I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, I'm about to play you a piece called blah, 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 blah. But maybe, what do you think it would sound like? Maybe you can make up something that sounds like that title. One thing I have always tried to do is make sure that my titles make sense in some way to what is going on in the piece. So I've never made up, say, a little staccato piece, for example, and call it popping popcorn. I wouldn't do that because it has no relevance to what we just played. So I do try to make sure that the titles represent what's happening in the piece or the sound that the piece is trying to make. I guess popping popcorn is staccato, but I really do I think about my titles a lot. So Rochelle, that would be a really, really fun activity. Thank you for that. Next question, Beth.
This one comes in from Josephine. How do you fit in this in each class of 30 minutes? We did pentascalar scale, rhythm drills, technique exercise, method book, and supplementary piece each session.
It's hard. I actually don't teach any 30-minute lessons anymore because I find it way too short. So all my lessons are 45 minutes. But one thing I will say is that it cuts down lesson time enormously if students know how the piece sounds. It's very hard and very time consuming to teach anything by rote when they haven't heard it before. So what I like to do is send them the level 1 reminder video in advance. So I have a YouTube channel where all of the level 1s are on there. And there's the side view and the overhead view at once. And I ask my students to watch or listen to that video at least 3 times in the week before I try to teach it by rote to them in the lesson. The difference is astounding. Sometimes, a piece like Chromatic Crawler, you can teach successfully by rote because there's not a lot of variation in what's going on. But a piece like Revving Down might take quite a long time to teach level 1. So it's great if they've heard it. So one thing I will say, Josephine, is that it cuts down lesson time a lot if you can do that. As for how to fit everything in, that's our biggest challenge as piano teachers, isn't it? Just trying to fit it all in. And it just depends how much work that student is doing at home and how much time we need to spend in the lesson teaching them how to practice, as well as getting through performance episodes of whatever they have prepared. But that's my big tip, is lots and lots of listening at home. Okay, so please feel free to put any more questions in the chat. Now we'll go to the 6th piece in the Chromatic Capers bundle, and that is this one called the Accidental Waltz. It's pretty obvious why it's called the Accidental Waltz. First of all, it's in 3/4, and secondly, it has a lot of accidentals in it, including accidentals in brackets, which is what happens when we have a bar line cancelling out an accidental, and also when we want to make sure that the students aren't accidentally continuing to play those accidentals. Now this position is very similar to Chromatic Crawler in that we start with G flat and B flat in the right hand, and eventually our left hand will go down to E flat and B flat. But we have left hand just being static on B flat to start, and then the right hand, when we're doing chromatic thirds coming down, it's pretty hard to do 2 and 4 here and 2 and 4 here. It can be a little bit stretchy. So 2 and 4 here works nicely. 2 and 4 here works nicely. Our third finger is kind of waiting for the G sharp there. So I do like to switch to E and G sharp for this one, and then maybe jump back to 2 and 4. Now it's completely up to you whatever fingering you would like to teach. And all students have different shaped hands and different size hands. It's like one fingering, one size does not fit all. So I will put suggested fingering sometimes on the music, but it's really good to see what your students' hands can cope with. So we've got 2/4, 2/4, probably 1, 3, and then I don't like to use 1, 3 again because then we'll get the twist. We don't want our students twisting and putting their thumb on a black note if possible. It also is possible to do it all with 2 and 4. Okay, so now we'll just go back to the music, and I will play you all of level 1. So when I'm teaching that by rote, first of all, I'm getting students to get comfortable with that first line, the descending chromatic thirds, which goes for 3 lines. And then the melody at the end is actually pretty ergonomic and easy to play. So once they've got level 1 by rote or by semi-rote, then we put the music in front of them and say, this is what you just played. Aren't you clever? Wow, you just did all of that. It does say con ped. This does sound very nice with pedal. It works perfectly well without pedal as well. But if you've got a student who can change pedal, then it does sound very nice. It wouldn't sound nice with the pedal held throughout, however. Now, the difference between levels 1 and 2. The first 2 lines are identical, and then the left hand looks really complicated, but that is not at all complicated to play. And this is another example of sometimes of music notation making things look harder than they are. We're just separating out those fifths and holding them. And then we get our separated third at the end of the third line. And then the last line is the same except for the broken fifth. And then, if we have a look at the difference between levels 2 and 3, students can usually see where the differences are. So now we have broken third in bar 7 as well. And then in the third line, there's something very different going on rhythmically in the right hand. And we can ask students, well, how do you think that will sound? And this is a 4-hat piece, so they're probably 2+ years of learning. And they can usually see that it's the same notes, but they're broken up. So now we have... And then the last line, there is a melodic change. So the idea of this piece is that they have now read so many accidentals on the page, but it is not a complicated piece to learn. Well, now I'm going to show you, I'm just going to skip to a different bundle, because I have also done a bundle that I released a long time ago called the Scale Champ Bundle. And there are 6 pieces in it, all based on different types of scales, but 3 of the pieces are chromatic. And I actually got an email, a beautiful email this morning from a teacher named Carol Baker in New Zealand, saying that the piece Chromatic was the most commented on in one of her studio recitals. It was just such a lovely thing for her to say. But I would like to show you, most importantly, Mosquito, because this is a 1-hat piece. And the idea of this is that it's all played with a single finger. So the great thing about Mosquito is that it starts on middle D, and D is easy to find on the piano because it's between those 2 black notes. And the idea of Mosquito is it sounds a bit like this. And then we've got to clap as if we're trying to catch the mosquito. And this is designed to be taught in the first 6 months of learning, because it's very easy to play. It's chromatic, but it's all 1 finger. So we have this motif of both fingers on the D and then going out to the black notes and then coming back. So It's very easy to teach by rote, but what I'm going to do is show you what the music looks like. Here is Mosquito level 1. And we have those claps in there because we're trying to catch the mosquito. This music you would not show to your students. Absolutely not. You would be teaching it by rote first, but I will play it for you. Now we're going to go all the way out. Getting louder. And it actually says on there to play the entire piece using second finger in both hands. If you choose to do third finger, that is absolutely fine. But that's a very, very, very easy piece for young students to learn. Once they have played level 1, we're going to put these 2 pieces of music in front of them, even though they cannot read music. But even a preschooler can spot the difference between 2 pictures. And they will see a difference in bar 3. Instead of having long notes, we can show them. Now we're just going to play this twice and this twice. And that's the only difference in the piece, in bar 3 and in bar 7. So then we get them to play it again, just remembering to do those differences. But they've pointed out those differences on the page first. And because you've taught it by rote, they're already doing it with the dynamics. They can see all these directions on the page, but they're already playing it. And then the difference between levels 2 and 3, well, the change that they go to probably straight away is the one in bar 11. They can see a lot more notes there. And this is really fun to play. They're just going to play each of those notes twice. And then it says, finally got it. I do have one student who insists on pointing out the text differences on the page. So when I say, and what differences do you see? He says, well, it says mosquito level 3 instead of mosquito level 2. It's really sweet. And then the first thing he would point out is that it says, finally got it at the end for when you catch the mosquito. The other difference is in bars 3 and 7, now, instead of getting 2 of the same and 2 of the same, we're alternating. So I'll play you all of Mosquito level 3, and this is really a great one for chromatic playing in the first couple of terms of learning. Finally got it. Now, of course, if you want to, you can teach that with chromatic fingering for slightly older students. It can be a nice exercise for them to do. So the next one that I would like to show you is Chromatic. This is the one that the lovely Carol Baker was talking about. And this one does need chromatic fingering because it is legato. And once again, this is taught by rote. I am showing you the music first, but I would not show the music first. I would get students playing it first, unless they're more advanced, and then I would talk through and do this one by semi-rote. So I'll play you all of level 1. This is a great one for reinforcing fingering, and it's also great because at the end of the second and fourth lines, that's the only time that we have that 3, 2, 1, that we have the 2 white notes. So we can almost just practice that last phrase first, because once we've got the hang of that, it's much easier. Then the difference between level 1 and level 2 is that there's a whole new line of music in there. Students can see this straight away. And when I say to them, what do you think's happening in that line? They always guess that it's going down chromatically. They really get the idea. And it's starting off slow in minims, and then getting faster and getting louder, which takes us to a repeat of the second half of the piece, but it's fortissimo instead of forte. So we get that sense of suspense building. And then going through these pretty quickly now, just so I can show you all of the pieces. The difference between levels 2 and 3. This is quite a subtle one that students don't always see. But finally they notice that there are no rests anymore in bars 2 and 4. And that's because we have the right hand playing an extra note. And this really changes the sound and the continuity of the whole piece. So I'm just going to play all of level 3 now. To say that yes, the other differences are now the right hand plays all the way through line 3 and there's an extra note on the end of the piece. So that's actually quite a fun and exciting piece that comes out really well when they're playing it kind of as a recital piece. And then we would encourage students to make up their own level 4. And this can be done with repeating notes, with doing a mashup of levels 1, 2, and 3. With every single piece, I would ask them to make up their own level 4. It has really changed the way I teach. That's probably my favorite thing about this series, is that now I'm getting students to improvise, and I never used to do that before. And they're also not scared of it. They're not scared of improvising and composing because they're just making up more changes. And they've already seen a few changes, so they're not scared of doing it. So there's one more piece in the Scale Champ bundle that I will show you quickly, and then we will get on to our live bonus. And that is, the last one is called Dry Run. And as you may have guessed, it is based on a chromatic scale. So I'll play you level 1 just so that you can see where it's all coming from. Okay, so it's pretty obvious why I called it Dry Run. It's because it's staccato, it's very dry, and it's a run of chromatic movement. The difference between levels 1 and 2 is that the right hand now plays a lot more often and is in fact playing when the left hand has the minims. So I won't play you level 2 because in the interests of saving time, we'll just go straight on. and have a look at the difference between levels 2 and 3. Now, it's a similar thing to Chromatic, where in bars 2 and 10, we actually have an extra note. So it goes down. In Chromatic, the same sort of thing happens. In level 3, we have that extra note. So here is level 3. This could also be managed with a single finger. So it could be transformed from a 3-hat piece to a 2-hat piece. It's really comfortable under the hands and really easy to play. Okay, we're going to race ahead now, and I'm going to tell you about your live bonus. It's all available at roterepertoire.com. I wanted to tell you about just where you can find all the pieces first. All of the series is found at roterepertoire.com, not blitzbooks.com. I do have 2 sites. Blitzbooks.com is where I have my theory books, sight reading books, and all the other general resources, but roterepertoire.com is where the repertoire lives. You get 15% off all pieces and bundles. Anything, as well as the things showcased today. Everything else is also 15% off. There are lots and lots of bundles. There's, of course, the new Chromatic Capers bundle, but this is just a screenshot of just a few of the other bundles. And they are very economically priced already, but a further 15% off means that each piece comes down to $8. Normally it's $13.90 per piece. So it's $8 per piece. That's for a studio license and with all the screen share PDFs. Or if you're in the US, 6 USD or 5 euros or 4 GBP. The other special from this webinar is that there's 20% off the lifetime membership. So what the lifetime access gives you is access to all the future things that I bring out. So the catalog keeps growing. The catalog, when I first released it, and that would be 9 years ago, was only worth $800. And now it's worth $1,800 because I keep adding pieces to it all the time. So you pay once, you get all future pieces. It's a permanent studio license for every single piece. I'm constantly updating it, also adding backing tracks and duet parts. And of course, you only pay once and the value keeps growing. So normally that lifetime bundle would be, the value is $1,800. It's priced at $1,350, but with an additional 20% off that, it comes down to $1,080. So now, thank you so much for staying on the call all this time. Your bonus is the piece Double Down, which I'm about to show to you, and you are going to be able to get your PDFs in the chat. And this is actually a 7th piece in the Chromatic Capers bundle. So if you are watching the replay, you're going to be able to get this inside the bundle. I'll just show it to you so that you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, here's Double Down. This is probably, I would say, the most challenging piece in the whole series because it is, so it's a 4-hat piece, and it takes a lot to teach it by rote. I would probably teach it by semi-rote actually, because there's quite a lot of detail even in level 1. And what I might do, just to save time and so we've got time to practice at the end, is I think I'm just going to go straight to level 3 because I think you all know the process, and I will play you level 3 of Double Down. So that is a fun recital piece. And it takes a while to learn level 1, especially by rote, but then once you've done all that detail, levels 2 and 3 are pretty easy to implement. If you want the rest of the materials, like the video teaching tutorials and the screen share edition, then you would need to either buy the whole pack, which you can buy for $13.90 with 15% off as an individual piece, or it is in the Chromatic Capers bundle. Now, if you're watching the replay, then that piece is going to be in that Chromatic Capers bundle just for 10 days. And then it will come out. So 7 pieces in one bundle brings the overall price of the bundle down, the overall price of each piece down even further. So that is the end of the Chromatic Capers showcase. And I just wondered if there are any more questions.
You had a shout out from Donna Hinckley. She said she loves having the Lifetime package. It's one of the most used resources in her studio, and now she gets free music whenever there's a new release.
Yeah, well, thank you, Donna. That is so lovely of you to say that. And yes, you have now got 7 new pieces. You have got all of these. None of these have duet parts or backing tracks at this point in time, but I'm sure they will eventually. I have an ex-student, Lucy Kong, who does all my backing tracks for me, and they're just delightful and beautiful. And then I am usually getting my colleague Michelle Matter, with whom I wrote the sight reading books, to help me write duet parts, and that's really fun, and I release those from time to time as well. Well, we've pretty much come to the end of our webinar. So if there are no other questions, then I would like to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here this morning. It's been an absolute delight. And I hope to see you again soon at the next webinar. So have a fantastic day. Goodbye.